NBA draft players. So there's three big players right now that still have their names in the NBA draft. That is Coleman Hawkins, Payton Sandfort, and Cam Christie. Listen, this is not like expert opinions here. We've not we're not insiders with the NBA draft and trying to figure out if these guys are going or not. A lot of this conversation is me vibes. So don't clip us and be like, oh, JR doesn't know what he's talking about and he thinks Cam Christie's going to the NBA or something like that. Like I said, it's all vibes here. So vibe with us and let us know what you think in the chat too. But Kent, we got Payton Sandfort, we got Coleman Hawkins, we got Cam Christie. Can you see any of these guys coming back to college next year? Obviously, Coleman Hawkins won't be coming back to Illinois. He had his little send-off earlier, but I think Cam Christie could come back to Minnesota, and I think Payton Sandfort could come back to Iowa. What are your thoughts?
I don't know, because like you just said at the beginning, I haven't been watching all the draft coverage, and I've been seeing random tweets here and there, so I don't want to get clipped at all and somebody say like, dude, you were way off on that. And also, like, it's kind of impossible to know, like, what NBA teams want because, like, I did a draft show last year and I talked about how not Jace Howard, the other Howard that actually got drafted, how I didn't even think he was ready for the NBA, and he was like a lottery pick. And I was just dumbfounded. So I clearly do not know how to evaluate NBA talent. I think that I know who the best players are in this conference. I feel like it because I watch them so much, and I feel like I know what some of their deficiencies are. But of that list, I will be. I'm just gonna again. He might get drafted in the first round. I don't know. I will be surprised if Coleman Hawkins gets drafted. I know that he has some intangibles that he can do, but as I was just talking about a few segments ago with the way that the NBA is moving, I think it's more guard heavy. He's really good at guarding bigs. I don't know if he's. I know he was in contention for Defensive Player of the Year. I get that. I just don't think that he's going to give you enough offensively to be able to produce at the NBA level. That's my opinion about him. And again, he might get drafted in the first round, and everyone will be like, "You're an idiot." But I just don't see how he can go to an NBA team and provide them much value. I would be surprised if he did.
I looked up some mock drafts earlier, and he was on a couple late in the second round, like right here. This is a consensus big board that I found. I think rookie charts or something like that is what I looked up. But so 55th here. He was on a couple mock drafts that I saw in the second round, but I even tried to go back and look, where it was before. So I think the combine did really help him. But at the end of the day, like I was talking to Sonny over at Illini Cast, and he was telling me that if what he thinks is correct is that Coleman Hawkins is just going to like a two-way deal, which is less than $1 million for a player. And so at the end of the day, like Coleman Hawkins probably could make more coming back to school in NIL rather than going to the NBA, which like, yeah, sure, he might get drafted, but this is a Trace Jackson Davis situation where he can't come back and he gets drafted in the second round. Like Coleman Hawkins still can come back and won't be to Illinois, and that's upsetting because I would love to see him in the Big Ten again. Probably be North Carolina personally. That's what I think. But
why can't it be Illinois though? Just because he said he was leaving for sure?
I think it's because he's taken too long, and I don't think. I think Illinois has spent most of their NIL budget already, and I think that they filled out most of their roster already. So, I mean, it kind of like it sucks for Illinois fans. Like I'm sure there's some that are really mad at him or something, or mad at Brad Underwood that he can't bring him back. But I just think it's the nature of, the NBA draft and being able to pull out as late as you can. I think there's like 3 or 4 days left that you can do that. So I don't know. We'll see. And Payton Sandfort, I think Payton Sandfort comes back, but
I was just reading a Illini comment. Sorry.
What did he say?
Sorry, I cut you off.
No,
he said, I'm all of a sudden afraid of saying something wrong like I don't do it every show.
Yeah, but if we say something wrong, we've at least done our research and we can fight about it. So
yeah, that's true. Me saying that Coleman Hawkins is not going to be drafted is just based on I don't think he's going to be able to score enough. That's all.
It's just vibes.
That's not research. That's vibes. Yeah, just like you said at the beginning of the show, just vibes. I don't see it happening, man. Am I out of pocket by saying he's not going to get drafted or shouldn't be?
I don't think so. What do you think, Larry?
No, I don't think so. I think it's interesting with Hawkins because everything he was saying and the general vibe around them and the Illini was, hey, he's gone and he's ready to move on. Not necessarily because he's the most highly sought after draft pick, but it just seemed like he was ready to take that next step. And everything he was saying was he was going. Now, these guys have handlers. These guys go out and they get assessed and people tell them what's the best thing to do. And the fact is, if he does fall out of the second round and it's looking like a two-way deal or another professional option, these guys get NIL. That's not bad. And maybe he comes back. I don't think he's going back to where he came from. I think they filled up. I think they were planning on him leaving, which is based on everything he said. I say come back and play for Rutgers, man, because we need a guy as big like that. I mean, that would be a nice little coup, I think. I would really like that. But
you got the NIL there, Larry? You got the NIL?
Got a little. We got enough, I think, to outweigh whatever two-way deal that's not guaranteed. I don't know. I'm just saying it could be something. Payton Sandfort, I think, is one of those like traditional guys who's testing the waters, maintaining his eligibility. He's coming back. I think he's coming back to Iowa. I think you go out, you get development, you get some exposure, and then you come back. I think, and from what I've been reading, he's coming back. Christie's an interesting one because from what I understand, he's creeping up a little bit in some boards, even though he was never expected to be that high. You never know. He could creep up. I got to be honest with the fact that the NBA, like, I know what it is. I watch it. I see how it's changing, but it kind of eludes me in terms of, what it used to be and understanding it, other than the fact that it seems like they want ultra athletic guys to hit threes whenever they want to and also be huge and athletic. And if you're not that, like a freak athlete that can also drain threes almost at will, you've got to find a role somewhere, and it's not easy, especially with all the other avenues you can take to get there. And so any of the three of these guys is going to be interesting. If Hawkins could find a spot and he's intent on moving on, I don't know that he's necessarily going to be on a full-time NBA roster. Maybe he gets in the second round. Maybe somebody's saying he's an elite passer and there's some other skill set. Maybe he gets in. I think he wanted to move on. But NIL is tempting these days. And even though I don't expect him to go back to the Illini, I think he can come back to another school, Rutgers. And I think that's kind of where those guys stand. And I think Sanford's definitely coming back. I'd be surprised if he did.
I'm with you, Larry. I wish Coleman Hawkins would come to Ohio State, but Sunny Illini cast says Coleman said he wouldn't pull Luke Goody, that is, going to Indiana, play for another Big Ten team. So
he also said he wasn't coming back to college, so
who knows? My heart is a bit broken, but that's okay, Coleman. It's go get your bag at North Carolina or Louisville or wherever you go. I don't know where. I heard somebody say North Carolina, Arkansas, and Louisville are like his three options right now, which tracks. Those have been some of the schools that have been offering the most money in the transfer portal. It seems like I have no insider knowledge on those schools to know exactly how much they're dropping. But, here we go. Philip says next Wednesday, May 29th is withdrawal deadline. So not 3 or 4 days, like a week.
Will be interesting.
I knew it was coming up though.
Anybody else think the 29th is sneaking up on us? Like, it seems like it's a few days to me too. And then when I look at the count, like for work, I'm like, oh, the 29th is a week. What's going on?
Yeah.
Sorry, just a side vibe there. But.
You're good. Cam Christie, we haven't talked much about him. You think he's gone? What's your vibe on Cam Christie?
I think he's ready. I don't know if he's going to. I don't know where he's at, but I think he's athletic enough, and he's a good enough shot maker that he could. Again, this is just what I think. I think that he can contribute at the next level, just because of what he can give a team. And you surround him with some other guys, I think that he'll be able to get open shots. And he's athletic enough to, kind of hold his own in the NBA. So I think that he's ready. I think that if I had to choose between the three of those guys that we just talked about, I would pick him first. And it's mainly because of his shooting ability. And from what little, I'm not like oblivious to the NBA, kind of like Larry, I watch it enough. From what little I do watch, defense isn't like the biggest thing that they need. They need shot makers, and that's exactly what Christie is. And I'm really high on him, so I would take him first out of these three. So I think he's ready now. And again, does that mean that a team has a need for him and they think that he did good enough at the combine or whatever they have been doing the last few weeks? I have no idea because I haven't been keeping track of it, but I think he's ready.
One is the youngest too, right? I mean, that's such a huge thing with the NBA. They just want to bring in guys that are young and they can kind of mold and develop into something. Happened with Bryce Sensabaugh at Ohio State and Malik Branham. Both of them weren't really ready for the NBA yet, but they were both young enough and they had the talent and skills that they felt like they could develop. So,